Okay, just have that. So everybody's ready?
Yes.
All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to our Support Local series. Your favorite hosts, Riyadh, Will, and Saman. And we're excited to have a special guest today.
I'm super excited. Angie reached out to us. Angie Ross, money coach. You can follow her on Instagram. She is a money coach. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
Thank you,
me.
Angie.
Thank you so
Yes. Thanks for coming on. And why don't we start? Why don't you tell us about your business, what you do, how you got into the business, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. So I am a money coach and a certified cash flow specialist, which doesn't mean that much to most people. But if you think about money and you want to do lots with your cash, I'm the person to help you. So I got into this. I actually taught personal finance at the high school level for 18 years in the Durham region. And what ended up happening was parents kept coming to me for help. So they'd ask me to be in my class, and I'm like, you can't. Sorry, your kid's in my class. It's awkward. So yeah, the kids do not let my dad in class. So I started to recognize the need for financial skills out in the real world. A lot of people are out there making good money, but at the end of the day, they're like, where the hell did my money go? And so that kept coming up over and over the 18 years. So finally, after COVID, I was feeling a little stagnant in the school system. So I decided to make the move to money coaching. I got my certified cash flow specialist designation, and I jumped out into the lovely world of entrepreneurship. And I just want to make mention of the fact that I had what was called the golden handcuffs. So they talk about that when you're in a good job with a good pension, summers off, all the things.
100%.
Yeah. And the only way I was really able to get out of teaching was by looking at our cash flow. We overhauled our own cash flow so that we found $2,000 a month we were spending on stuff we didn't care about. So that was about half my take-home pay. So I went part-time teaching when we found that deficiency in our cash flow, part-time teaching, and then built my business up, and then went into business full-time, and actually even bought an Airbnb in Mont Tremblant in the process. So I've done the process myself, which is, I think, really important for people to know. I'm not some person who's just talking the talk and not walking the walk. I use the process myself to overhaul my life.
So how is it teaching in the high school personal finance? I think that's great. I wish I was in every school, right? So yeah. What grades did you teach, and then how was the response to that?
Yeah, it was grade 12 specifically, university level grade 12 course. And it's funny because I always see, I just posted on someone's reel today. They're like, I wish they taught this in school. I'm like, well, they do teach it in some schools. I actually created the course at my school. So all the content, very little, I don't know, there was very little from the government telling me what I need to teach. So I utilized the basis of personal finance, the wealthy barber. We also got into stocks, the index funds, all that stuff. And so it was really cool for me to develop that. And it was really well received by the students. But one thing I will say is, like anything else that's taught in school, when you go to implement it yourself, you're going to have to kind of brush up on it again, right? So I was taught the quadratic equation. Awesome. If you ask me to do that right now, hell's no. So you have to go back and take a look at it, right? And figure out what's going on. It's the same with personal finance. They love the content. I still get questions from students. They'll contact me on LinkedIn and say, hey, can I ask you about index funds? And I'll go over it again with them. So it's definitely a great base for them to have, though, and something that's super important. That knowledge is super important for everybody.
I have a few questions written down now.
Okay, curious.
Here we go. Question 1. People's biggest money mistake.
Unconscious spending. So what they do is they think, not a big deal if I'm tapping my card here, there, everywhere. And then my answer to that is Costco. It is a big deal.
True.
We look at it, and I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Costco is the most dangerous store out there.
It is. And I'm guilty myself, right? I talked about the fact that in my practice, when I'm working with people, we do an analysis of people's numbers. We don't take what you tell me and do your cash flow, because you'll tell me I spend $1,200 a month on groceries. And then I actually look at your numbers. No, it was $1,800. That's a big difference, right? And so there's the unconscious spending that's happening that people are not actually factoring in. We have a bias towards ourselves, which we should, we're amazing. But when we're looking at our numbers, we need to actually look at the fact in order to build that plan, and unconscious spending is the problem. And it was me too. So no judgment, just the truth.
Wow.
That's good.
Interesting. And how do you couples talk about money?
Oh gosh. Couples and money, even over here. So when I was taking us through the program, my husband was like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, great. Do you want to live here? So, you know, gotta do what you gotta do. And he did. That was good. I was worried about the answer to that one. So we went through the program, and honestly, what happens is we had a third party. So I work with someone as well, and she took us through the questions so that she could be unbiased. And we went through the program. And what ended up happening was I was taking control of all the finances. And I thought that's what he wanted because I'm the finance person, right? So of course I'm going to be in charge. And he actually wanted a little more say in what was going on, and he wanted to know more, but he wasn't speaking up. I don't know, maybe I'm intimidating. So after we went,
I believe that actually.
right? So after we went through the process, I'm like, I'm happy to have you on board. And so what actually ended up happening was we used to fight about his yearly ski trip. He wants to go to BC every year to ski. And I would be like, oh, waiting for him to ask that question in October. He'd be like, I have something to talk about. And I'm like, oh, because it was expensive. And after we went through the plan, the cash flow plan, we actually built that into our monthly cash flow. We save for it monthly now. It just sits there. When he goes to book it, I'm like, oh, here's the account with the money in it. Enjoy. So what ends up happening a lot of times is there's hesitation to talk about money in a couple. But once we actually get talking about it and start to be able to do more with our money, like a yearly ski trip without fighting, people are actually happy they did it. So I typically encourage monthly money dates for people, and where they actually talk about money positively, because most couples only talk about money to fight about money. And so monthly money dates are great. You just start talking about things positively, bring up something, a financial goal, or any kind of thing. I actually have a sheet for people, like a little, you know, if you want to, here's a couple questions you could ask. And what ends up happening is we kind of flip the attitude.
What? Give me an example of one of the questions you're asking about a money date, romantic over candlelight.
All right, candlelight. Okay, I like how you work. Yeah, if you want,
I'm Mr. Romance, apparently.
I love it. Money's romantic, by the way. Money's romantic.
All right.
Money in the bank account, I'm feeling it. Just
true.
Yes.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Right? So one of the questions would be something like, if you won $500,000, what would you do with that?
Oh, okay.
And sometimes people are shocked by what their partner would say because they don't know. They don't know what their partner cares about and what their partner values. So it's interesting to get that out there. Another one often will be about like your history, like what went on back in the day at your house. Did people talk about money? At my house, we did, because my mom is on it. And my dad's there too, but he just follows along. You know, I don't know where I get it from, but yeah, she's on it. And then my husband's house, it was a no-go zone. And so it's good to know that, because now I understand why he gets that look in his eyes, like he's about to cry when I want to bring up money. But now there's a reason, right?
Right. I was watching. Sorry, Simon. I have one more question. I know you're gonna say something. I have my last question.
Go for it.
I don't know if you ever heard of the CBC, and they were talking recently on one of their various shows about couples and money infidelity. I don't know if you've heard of that term.
Oh yes.
Which I was amazed by it. What do you do when you find out there has been, financial infidelity between couples? Like, how do you coach through that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I had a couple that someone in the couple had racked up a lot of money gambling. So
I've heard a lot of that. Yep.
Yeah. So the first thing is, that's not really my wheelhouse to deal with a gambler. Addiction. Right? I can deal with the money part, and I can build you a money plan. I have a trusted team, so I would send them to the appropriate therapist and addiction specialist for that, because that's like up here and I'm down here. I'm just being honest. But then I will build them a plan. The other thing I noticed is that oftentimes when that's happening, one of the partners maybe doesn't want to have shared finances. They're hiding something. And so when we go through the analysis, we are bringing the money together. We are putting all the pieces together. So the first thing is awareness. So by opening it up and having that awareness, that's something that really tends to help the couples kind of start fresh from that foundation of awareness. And then again, if it's really bad, they're going to see someone or a specialist about that. But that's, again, something that I have access to and often will refer to if necessary.
Wow. Simon?
Yeah, Angie, regarding the money dates, right? Typically people like do their planning at the beginning of the year. So Do you say that it's, you have to wait for the beginning of the year to have that conversation, or, do you do it at the end of the year to prep for it, at the middle of the year? When do you have this conversation?
Oh my goodness. I have them. I have monthly money dates. So it's not about just building goals. I think goals are great. I think you want to have a conversation every year. What's our goal? Awesome. And it's checking in, because so I'm just going to say right now, budgets fail for 79% of people. And so do resolutions and goals. If you're not checking in on them, what's the point? And so one of the things I have people do with monthly money dates is actually say what went well last month with our money and what failed, right? And each partner gets to answer that question. So they're having the discussion, because when I think something went well, sometimes my husband is like, didn't like it, right? And so then we have to actually have a conversation. Like, for example, I'm a golf addict. So I'm like, what went well in August? Oh, I golfed 25 times. Awesome. And he's like, that did not go well for me. So, it's something, and coming to that compromise, which is really what marriage is. But I would do it monthly. I would set a date. I would have fun with it. We like to go out, right? Like our last monthly money date was at Scatterbush. Awesome. Give me a glass of red wine. Let's talk money, right? So honestly, I would set it up so that you have a specific time on your calendar to go and do that monthly money date, and do not avoid that.
I like that answer, actually. Yeah, because it doesn't have to be this big event of talking about money, right? It could be fun. It could be just catching up. It could be very natural, and it could be part of your day-to-day conversations. It doesn't have to be a set date or time that you talk about this.
Yeah. And I think what you just brought up is key. It should become natural to talk about money in your relationship. And most people that struggle with money in their relationship, it is not natural. It is, oh, I'm going to bring something up. Here we go. Watch the bomb explode, right? So I love what you just said. And we want to make sure we're having some positive conversations about money as well. Or you might as well just call the divorce lawyer now. I like to say a money coach is cheaper than a divorce lawyer, but that's a little cheeky, but I'm cheeky.
Well,
so why do you think it's not a comfortable conversation?
First of all, I think people don't necessarily want to face their habits.
Yep.
Been there. It's okay. Sometimes I also think we don't want someone telling us what to do. We're afraid our partner is going to tell us what to do. When I build plans with couples, I'm giving the instruction as an unbiased third party. It comes across way easier than if someone who may have money resentment towards you is trying to give you instruction. Right? So there's a lot of conflict there, or tell you what to do. The other thing is, sometimes I feel like partners don't want to know, sticking their head in the sand. They're like, it's okay, we're fine. But then are they going to reach those financial goals and those milestones? Probably not.
So question for you. You talked about unconscious spending.
Mm-hmm.
What are some common things that people are unconsciously spending on?
Okay, it's food, retail, and entertainment. Those are the big three. Also pets, which this is really interesting one. People will say, I spend $100 a month on my pet. And then I look at the numbers, I'm like, more like 400. I knew someone that's spending $1,700 a month on their pets.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, hey, you know what? If that's what you care about and that's what you value, go for it. But you need to know your numbers and make sure it fits in your cash flow. That's like the main piece of advice that I have, because when people are talking to me about money, they're like, oh no, she's going to restrict us here. She's going to restrict us there. No, we have a set amount of money we're going to work with. I use an anti-budget method. So I kind of reverse engineer a budget. We take what you make, we subtract your fixed expenses, your housing, your car, those things. We subtract your financial obligations. And those are where the values come in. So for example, ski trip for us is in a financial obligation. Golf is in a financial obligation. And then whatever we have left, we divide into what we call a spendable, and they can spend that without guilt because we've already taken care of all the important things. And what we do actually is we suggest they use cash for that weekly spendable. At my house, it's $700. I spend it on retail, food, entertainment. It doesn't matter where that money goes within the 700. Don't track it. I just track the value of it. And what that allows us to do, ski trip every year, annual vacations of 20,000. We bought the Airbnb. Like, it just frees you up. And it also creates a lot less conflict if you are married and in a couple. But you can do it if you're not married too. If you're rocking the single life, works for you too.
And how many bank accounts should you have?
Great question. So
yeah, Red wants Sildas for his own personal reasons.
Perfect. He should come. I'm doing an anti-budget free workshop in March. You should come. It's free. I talk all about that. But yes, I'll answer that. It depends on how many financial obligations you have. I call my bank accounts life jacket funds. You may have heard the term sinking funds before. hate that. Sinking funds are like mini savings accounts, but sinking sounds negative to me. I'm like, why? They're preventing our cash flow from sinking. So let's call them a life jacket fund. So I'll give you an example. I have a travel one. I have one for Christmas. People often undervalue Christmas and how much they spend. I spent $2,700 this year. Anyways,
Yeah,
I
saw your post. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Christmas, I have one for kids' activities, emergency savings. So it depends on the things that you value and what you're doing. But what's nice about it is I save for the monthly. So by saving for these things monthly, I'm evening out my cash flow. So when December comes, I'm not screwed when I get my Visa bill in from Christmas, right? I have the money saved. I used to save $200 a month, but now I save $250 because I went over the budget last year. So I save $250 a month for Christmas. When Christmas comes, it's paid for. Right. So having those extra accounts, I had someone last week ask me, well, there's a lot of bank fees for that. No, you can get, there's an app called Neo, which is an online banking app. And it's actually the guys that started Skip the Dishes. And so you can get up to 10 savings buckets with them. And it's paying out 4% interest right now, no fees. You could e-transfer back and forth from your checking account as much as you want. And 4% is amazing. Because a lot of the bank accounts like TD were paying like 0.05%. Don't even get me started on why they're calling that a high interest savings account.
So how does Neo work? So
Yeah.
if you have like a traditional bank, TD,
Yeah.
RBC, and then there's Neo, how does that work?
So you link up your checking account and you basically, it's like an e-transfer over into the bank account. It sits there, it's making you your 4%. You can actually automatically contribute. So it'll help you to set up if you want to do bi-weekly transfers in or monthly transfers in, you can set that up and then it's just sitting over there. My favorite thing to do is when my husband's like, how are things going financially? I opened up our Neo account and I'm like, well, we have 10,000 saved for travel. We have this saved for Christmas. We have this. He's like, oh, I didn't even feel that. Yeah, you don't even feel it. And it's over, off to the side, out of sight, out of mind. You just go in there when you want to use it or when you want to impress your husband.
Do you recommend, that there are no separate accounts with couples? Or do you think for some things there should be joint accounts and other things separate accounts?
Loaded question.
Oh yeah.
Like for example, my husband makes more money than me, so we're joint account all around. Just saying. I think personally it depends on the couple. So each couple that I have in here, we're kind of handling it based on what works for them. What we do though is their savings accounts are shared. Their main checking account for their household expenses are shared, and then they may have their own separate spending account if there's additional cash flow that's available for that, where they don't have to, negotiate with each other about buying small things, if that's kind of how the relationship works. And again, no judgment here. That a lot of times people want their own little bit of money, and that's fine, but we do still work the same program where we analyze and put that money aside for savings for whatever they're really looking towards. Like it could be a down payment on a house or whatever. We do that all shared. And then the only thing they really would get separate, in my opinion, is that extra bit of cash that they'd be using on their unconscious spending.
Wow, that's amazing. And then are kids ever involved in this whole money discussion with their parents?
So I involve my daughter in money discussions because I think it's really important. I actually use a lot of the same strategies. So I'll give you an example for back to school shopping. I just started doing this a couple of years ago. She's 13. Wish me luck. So anyways.
I'm there too.
Oh, it's a thing, eh?
Yep.
So I don't know about you, back to school shopping, it would be like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And there's no consciousness to how much it's costing. And so even if I said before we went shopping, I'm going to spend $300 on you. When we're there in the mall, there's no like adding happening. There's no consciousness. I spent $100 on shoes. I did this, I did that. So last year I tried something different and I actually gave her $300 cash. I said, here's your money for your back to school shopping. I'm not telling you what to buy. You can go to Sephora and blow it all. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. And I was like, but once the 300 is done, it's done. That's what you get. So interestingly enough, she actually felt like she was spending more than past years, which was not the case. I didn't once get asked, can I buy this? Please, beg. There was none of that happening. And she went into the garage and bought a pair of $80 jeans, and she doesn't really wear jeans. And I was kind of like keeping my mouth shut or trying to. And I'm like, you do what you're going to do, right? We walk down the mall. We're like 5 minutes away. She's like, can we go back and get my money back? I think that maybe that wasn't the best decision. And I was like, hallelujah. So it brought the consciousness to her, and I didn't have to nag her because I don't want to be one of those nagging parents. It's not fun for either of us. So I would get kids into that same pattern. Let them have some control. Let them make some decisions. They're not going to make perfect decisions, but nobody does with money, but they're starting to learn how to handle money and how to be conscious of their spending.
Nice.
Speaking of kids, do you think there's any hope that the education system changes to have a lot of these topics incorporated in, instead of, you know, some courses that perhaps aren't as relevant to, you know, our day-to-day lives?
There's two things happening though, I will say. So first one, when I had the course, I still had people in that high school saying there's no finance course. Well, you have to take it. So like, not on me, on you. Problem with that is that high school is a lot shorter. It's 4 years. It used to be 5 years. There's less room for the kids to take the courses. And some of these electives don't make it right onto their course selection. So that's an issue that I think we have, is that if they had more time, they may want to take that. And obviously it'd be nice if it was mandatory. And the other issue is funding, quite honestly, is not maybe where it should be and going into the areas that it should be going into. I would be really happy sometimes when I went into the bathroom and there was toilet paper, but that's, you know, that's just me. So are they going to put a whole bunch of funding into developing this? No, they have talked about it. I know they're trying to do a little bit of it at the younger level, but again, as I said before, when you teach it really young, then you're going to have to brush up on it again until you're actually physically using your own money. And then you start to implement the strategies and then you remember, right? So there's a couple things going on there.
So how does somebody work with you? Like how do we find you, and how does somebody contact you?
Yeah. I'm all over Instagram. I just feel like I'm famous. I have 1,600 followers, so I'm pretty much Beyonce. So you can find me on Instagram. I post a lot there because I like to do educational reels. And so it's a nice short clip that people can kind of get started on. So I'm at angieross.moneycoach. And then I offer 30-minute free calls to discuss because I can't help everybody. And I'm very aware of that. So I do a little bit of, I get a little bit of information from the individual on what's happening. Am I the right person to help? And if I'm not, I'll send them to someone else. Or I'll give them a resource. And the other thing I do a lot is free workshops. The anti-budget workshop is my most popular workshop because, as I said before, 79% of people fail at budgets. So I like to say, don't hate the player, hate the game. The tool of budgets is broken, quite honestly. And the 21% of people that it works for don't need me. So bye, go enjoy your life. Like, you're doing well on budgets. Awesome. The other 79% of people, that's how we made this anti-budget method. And I was like, here, I'm willing to share it in a free workshop. And then what I typically suggest is they come to the workshop, see what it's like. And then if they need support, I'm there as a follow-up and they can come and contact me after that and chat about how I may be able to help them individually.
And where do you host the workshops?
I do it on Zoom because I get a lot of my clients are not local. I do get local clients, but because I'm so famous on Instagram, I get clients from all over the place. So I have a lot of clients from out east in Canada. I have a couple clients from the States. So basically, I want to make it accessible for everyone because the same principles apply regardless of like tax rules and things like that. When you're talking about the anti-budget, it's the same idea. Cash flow is cash flow no matter where you live.
So where are you based?
I'm in Ajax, Ontario.
Nice. So fun question for you is, what are some of your favorite local businesses?
Oh goodness, I have a lot. I just went yesterday. Vita Yoga, great place. It's
on Station? Is it on Station Street?
It's in Whitby on I think it's called Green Street.
Okay, yeah, downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, downtown.
Okay, yeah.
Also, Osteogenie is my
Yep.
bestie.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's amazing, and I've been seeing her for years. And honestly, if you haven't seen her before, you must. There's quite a few, and obviously, I love all the places to eat. Don't even get me started.
So what's your favorite?
Tell us.
That's us.
My favorite. There's a place called. This is going to be very weird, but I just had it on Saturday, so I remember. There's a place called Pita Land in Ajax. These guys are amazing.
Harwood.
Yeah,
yep.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
We just ate there the other day, so it's fresh in my mouth. Maybe I hate cooking. So if anyone can like cook for me, I'm like this is the thing that's built into my money plan. eating out because I'm like, I just am not capable of cooking a solid meal. So I'm like, we'll build that into our plan. We're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much there, Miss
Very
Ross.
nice.
Look at you. Look at you coaching people, inspiring people. We're going to talk more because I'm enjoying what you're doing. And if we can
100%.
promote you any way, we will. Because I
Thank
think what you're doing is amazing.
Thanks.
Amazing.
And I know you guys do real estate stuff, and I often have clients that are looking to get into the real estate market. They come to me because they are looking to save a down payment and get themselves in there. So,
And that is what I want to do. I want to do some real estate things with you.
Yeah, we can do some more workshops like that too as well.
Yeah, workshops,
absolutely. Yes.
etc.
Perfect. Love it.
Yeah. I feel like when realtors do workshops, they often do it with the mortgage brokers.
Always.
But I feel like you bring way more value because you need to get people to the mortgage brokers. Like you need money to go to the mortgage brokers. So I think you're probably one step ahead of the mortgage brokers.
Yeah, I wrote down on my on my pad here, Angie Money Sessions. That's what I wrote down as an idea.
I thought you wrote Angie one step ahead of mortgage brokers. Maybe that's going to be my new slogan.
All right, that one.
Take it and run with it.
And what's your Instagram handle for people?
It's angieross.moneycoach. Super, super original.
Yeah, well, very easy. And your reels and all that you do on they're amazing.
Oh, thanks so much.
Great, informative, exactly what people need when they're looking for your kind of service. So I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. This has been great, and I hope to work together soon.
Oh, we will be. Oh yeah, we will be. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.